Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rico Borrego.
I am your other co-host, Tony Borrego.
And this is the podcast with the hot questions and even hotter takes. Now, Tony, we have yet again for technically the third week in a row, we have another guest on the podcast. Would you like to introduce him?
Yes, this is the man himself, the myth, the legend, Eshaan Jain, all the way from LA.
Hello, friends.
Now, people who have listened to our podcast regularly will recognize Eshaan. He was on our Audioslave episode that came out a couple months ago now. And he is back in town. Well, actually, he's back in town with Tony. He actually lives in California with me, but not today.
In the same household.
No, not in the same. Not even in the same county. But nonetheless, he's here with us today. And we are to go behind the scenes a little bit. Tony and I just got done recording 2 other episodes today. So this is our 3rd episode of the day. We don't normally record that many in a row, but just the opportunity was presented to us and Eshaan was here and we thought, well, yeah, let's have him on another episode. So today we have a topic, but we haven't really prepped for it. So it's going to be a little bit more of a loose episode, but this is going to be our hot takes episode. We're just going to kind of take turns coming up with hot takes that we have when it comes to music, maybe specifically rock music or really anything about music, any kind of broad topic or any specific topic. And we're just going to see how the other 2 feel about it and, maybe fight our takes or maybe we'll all agree. We'll just see. I'm going to start us off with a simple one to begin, maybe one that's not going to be too heated, but a very simple one. And that is a hot take I have is I think it is perfectly fine if you wear the t-shirt of the band that you're seeing live at the actual show.
That's totally okay. I don't have any disagreement with that.
Well, okay. Well, here's the question. Let's get into the specific. Can you just wear, let's say you're going to a Chili Pepper show. Can you just show up with like the most basic Chili Pepper tee where it's just like the logo, like you probably bought it at Target 30 minutes before the show? Or do you mean that like it's okay to wear like a shirt from like the last tour you went and saw them at?
Well, either. I mean, like, I think it shows if you're wearing like a t-shirt for like the current tour or maybe even the last tour, I think that shows like you're a super fan, which I think is totally fine. And in fact, if I was on stage, if I was that band or artist, I'd be pumped. But, and I've multiple times I've been at a show where I was in the general admission, like the pit, and I actually had the lead singer on 2 different occasions point out to me the shirt I was wearing, and it was a shirt from the band. So in my history with seeing live shows, sometimes wearing the t-shirt of the band you're seeing is great and can maybe even get you recognized in the crowd. But that said, there's nothing wrong with wearing like a generic, like you said, Red Hot Chili Peppers logo t-shirt where it's nothing specific.
Yeah, it's the same logic as wearing a jersey to a football game of your favorite team or whatever.
That's a good parallel.
Yeah, because no one. In fact, that's like the normal thing to do. It's almost weird if you show up to a sporting event and you're not repping your team.
Exactly. So like you go to Alice in Chains concert and you wear a Soundgarden shirt. I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird, but at least you're representing the Seattle sound, I would suppose. It would like strike up some conversation. People know that you kind of like know like the gist of the whole what's the word, like grunge community,
right?
But,
yeah,
like you can even wear an Alice in Chains shirt and I think that's even more acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, if I'm seeing a band, an artist, and I don't happen to own a t-shirt from them, I have other band t-shirts that I'll wear. I'm trying to think of, okay, I'm seeing, I know Tony only knows about him because I talk about him all the time. I don't know if you know him, Eshaan. There's a kind of a country Americana folk artist named Jason Isbell, and I'm seeing him live next week. I don't own a shirt by him, but I'm going to wear one of my Tom Petty shirts because Jason Isbell loves Tom Petty, was one of his influences. And, so I try, if I'm going to wear a band t-shirt, but it's not the band I'm seeing, I try to wear one that makes sense. And like, I wouldn't wear a Soundgarden t-shirt if I was gonna go see like Billy Joel. That'd be a little weird.
That would be, yeah. I don't agree with that.
But when that one Soundgarden and Billy Joel fan is in the crowd and sees, he's gonna come up and be like, "Yo, that's what's up."
No,
Right? So
that's true. It is fun to like meet someone, run into someone who's like, "Oh, I like your shirt," and then you bond over because you like the band or the album or whatever's on the t-shirt. You know.
right. And so we all seem to, come to the consensus that it is acceptable to wear a t-shirt of the band that you are seeing. Now, my take here, and I think this is unacceptable. The band performing on stage should not be allowed to wear their own band merch.
It's cringe, but
What? Excuse me?
think about Rick Beato. He does a lot of live streams, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in the middle of his live streams, what does he do every single time?
I've actually never watched one of his. So fill
What
me
he
in, please.
does is he has a discount code that says, "Please get my Beato book bundle." What is that? It's called self-promotion.
But
So,
you consider Beato a musician?
yeah.
What?
What?
Wait.
Well, no,
wait.
no. Okay, like
That's a hot take.
But his live streams aren't like, I don't know. He has he like ever like performed like a set of like his own songs? Like,
Yeah. He was in a band called Billionaire.
No, but Rico's saying in his live stream,
Oh.
has he ever been performing and then mid-performance like took a break to be like, "Yo, buy my course"?
well, like, because he's usually, because I think I've streamed one of his once his streams, and it was like him talking about like what's the best REM song, which is the reason why I started watching it. And like he's like kind of going through songs on his phone, right? And he has his guitar, and sometimes he'll play along with it. And then in the middle, he's like, "Yeah, buy my course." Like that's okay, but like if he was like doing a live stream of him just doing cover songs or performing his own songs, and then midway did that, I don't know. Like, did you ever see a band? Have you ever seen a band midway through go like, "Don't forget, we have a new album out. Go pick it up at the merch stand on your way out"?
I feel like bands have totally done that before.
Yeah, but like, I feel like not nowadays.
None of the good ones.
I don't
Like-
know. I kind of agree with Tony. It's pretty. I don't know if I've ever been to a show where, I'll be honest, I can't think of a time where I was at a concert where like someone in the band was repping the band's t-shirt.
There was a police reunion tour, and Stewart was wearing like a Ghost in the Machine like shirt or something like that. And like so imagine this, Eshaan. You go to see Soundgarden live, and Matt Cameron is just behind the kit, and he's just wearing like a Louder Than Love shirt with like a Super Unknown headband, and he's got a Down on the Upside pair of gloves, and like
I mean,
It's King Animal underwear.
Here's the thing. Yeah, it's super incredibly cringe to think about that. But I don't know. I feel like I can't say that they're not allowed to. So
I mean,
that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I think they're allowed to, but I just don't
well,
like it.
yeah,
I don't like it.
I think it's quite distasteful.
It's distasteful. Yes,
There we
that's
go.
correct.
We can settle on that.
There
Now,
we go.
really quick, just because we're on the topic of t-shirts, there's one more hot take that I think that we could talk about real quick, and that is
Name 5 songs.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going to go. Is it okay for someone to wear a t-shirt of like let's even just say classic rock band, and either A, not even know any of their songs, or B, be like a casual fan and just know a couple of like the singles? Because some people will like interrogate a person wearing like a Nirvana shirt and say, "Name me a Nirvana album, name me 3 songs." That's become even like a meme at this point online.
Mhm.
And I don't know, when I was younger and I felt like I was a music snob, I felt like my hot take was like, yeah, you have to know this. Actually, that's still my hot take. Actually, I still think, if you're repping like a band, you should at least know like 3 of their biggest songs.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't know. I just feel like you're being kind of fake if you like wear an artist on you and know nothing about them, I feel like what's the point? You know, what are you doing that for?
I mean, like, I get it. Some bands have really cool logos or album covers. So, like, I guess if someone was wearing
The Black Album.
The
no.
White Album.
Then I was gonna say Nirvana, like Nevermind, but then I don't know. That'd be kind of creepy if someone was wearing that like on their shirt.
Just for the baby.
And then I was gonna say like Led Zeppelin, but they've got like the same issue. So I don't know. But like, yeah, if you were like repping like Pearl Jam's 10 and you like the album cover, then maybe I give you a pass. Now that said, I don't think I'll ever interrogate someone on the street. I don't think I'd ever be one of those people who are like, quick, name me 3 songs, and they have to be deep cuts.
But I literally did that to Ellen the other day. She was wearing a Jimi Hendrix shirt. And
Did she pass?
Name 5 songs, and she said somewhere over the Watchtower. And then Foxy Lady. She got that right.
Nice.
I think that's all she said. So she got like 1.5 songs out of 5.
I'll say this. Now, I mean, of course, I think the answer varies depending on what perspective you're looking at it. Because, like you said, if you just like the way the shirt looks, or maybe it's just a shirt you wear at home, like when you go to bed, like it doesn't really matter that much in kind of those aspects. But coming from a musician standpoint, I'm gonna say that you have to first off like the band and like be able to like if I were to like turn on the radio and one of their songs are playing, I think you should be able to be like, oh yeah, that's AC/DC. Right, because like for example, if I wore an AC/DC shirt, like sure, I could name you probably like at least 15 songs, but I wouldn't call myself a fan, you know?
It's the same, it's kind of the same vein of like, okay, there's someone that approaches you, they're like, oh my god, I love AC/DC. Then you play Hell's Bells and they're just staring at you blankly. Or you play, I don't know, TNT, they're still staring at you blankly. And then you play Back in Black and they're like, yeah, I love AC/DC. Like,
Yeah,
it's kinda
'cause
the same
we have to remember there are people who are more just casual fans who don't know every song from a band, even if it's a band they enjoy. There's some people who just don't go out of the way to listen to every song ever made by them. And I'm like the opposite of that person. I will listen to a band, every one of their songs. I don't have to like them at the end of the day, but I always like to give them a shot. But yeah, there's some people who just listen to the radio, just know the singles, and
yeah,
that's okay too.
I recently did that though with the Chili Peppers. I listened to every single album, every single track, and that took me like a week or maybe more. So like I have no idea how people are able to always do that. But I do try, if I like an artist, I try my best to find something that not that many people have listened to, so I can actually get to like the deep depths of what this artist is about and what their style is. Because I feel like there's always something special about every artist, especially if I like them. So I like looking for deep cuts.
Yeah, no, I agree, Tony, and that's kind of part of the idea of this podcast. Well, I guess the idea was more to listen to music we've never heard, but like Tony and I think I've always been music, listeners who try to listen to deep cuts and try to listen to the majority of a band's or artist's work. And now really quickly, since you just said that, do you have a specific Red Hot Chili Pepper hot take for us? Because Tony and Tony has heard all their music. I'm not super familiar with their early stuff, but I very much know like from Blood Sugar onwards fairly well.
I mean, I don't have a hot take on the top of my head, but I feel like John, he's definitely, he's the most mainstream guitar player, but like I just feel like he's incredibly overrated in that band.
I'll tell you exactly why he is. Okay. First off, I mean, a lot of people think of Frusciante having a style, right?
Yeah.
And he does. But if you listen to the first 3 Chili Peppers albums, the style's already kind of paved, loosely speaking. And heck, even, John's first record with the band, Mother's Milk, like, even that, doesn't really feel that significant to me. I mean, I really think, like he is a fantastic guitarist and he, is innovative in his own ways. But I don't think he's maybe quite a virtuoso like a lot of people paint him to be. That's my kind of gripe with him.
Well-
Plus maybe some of his attitude he's had over the years.
I'll say this as someone who does not play lead guitar like the way you guys both do. I think, yes, I think the general like music connoisseur, like for rock music, he does get overrated in that sense. Like, I don't think he's done anything that was as groundbreaking as like a Jimi Hendrix, for example, right? I think
Yeah,
we
but
can
he's,
agree
like,
on that.
John is inspired by him, just like everyone else. But
Well,
Right.
true, but I do think like come the next 30 years, I think there are going to be some breakout musicians who will be inspired by John. I just don't think we're there yet, right? Like, I think there are a lot of people who look up to him are more like music listeners and not actual musicians, or at least not ones that have made it big. Because even though the Chili Peppers have been around, since like technically the late 80s, like I don't know, like I just feel like he gets overblown like by people who just like love the band fans. But and I know that a lot of guitarists, even like on YouTube, like, they praise him, but then some people like don't. I'm kind of like in the middle. I think he's like perfectly rated. Like, whenever I hear a Chili Pepper song, I mean, I kind of agree with your statement, Eshaan, and the fact that like he maybe isn't even the most talented in the band, because like Flea is probably one of the best bass players, and Chad Smith's very underrated when it comes
I
to
was
drums.
actually listening to their jam, like their improvised jam that Flea did for like a DVD.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
Red Hot Rhythm Meth.
Something like that, yeah. I mean, I've listened to it before, but like I listened back to it again after like a few years, and oh my god, they're so locked in, so tight, so groovy. God,
Yeah,
and
rhythm-
just all off the fly, man. It's crazy.
Have you seen
their rhythm
the
section's great.
Have you seen the clip? It's on YouTube of like on Howard Stern, and like Howard asked him cringy questions like, "So like your pedals and stuff, right?" to John, and then John, turns on his pedals and everything like that. And I think when he's turning off his pedal, you go click, 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 without even looking. Chad matches the kicks. He hits the kick pedal with each click of the pedal that John is turning off. Like, they're all great musicians, and I think maybe sometimes John gets put on the pedestal a little higher than the rest of them,
But that's because
except for Anthony.
John is on all, if not most, of the hits of Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Well, I mean, yeah, like no one really gives a who anything pre-John.
Yeah. What was the order of guitar players? It was like, what's his name again?
So I was like, Hillel,
Yeah, Hillel, and then
to Jack Sherman,
yeah,
to
then it went to John, and then Dave, right? Or no?
There was a fill-in though, like in the middle somewhere, right? Like, didn't they try out someone for like a week or something?
Yeah. They obviously, they tried out a few, and I think there was technically a different lineup. I don't remember the guitarist's name, but yeah.
It was Dave, and
then back to John, and then to Josh.
Oh, okay.
And then back to John.
Right, like yeah, like all their guitarists just go back and forth.
Yeah, I did like Dave a lot. He was on One Hot Minute, right?
Yeah, and that's my hot take. I think One Hot Minute is easily one of the best albums of the band. I rank it number 2 for me, just behind Blood Sugar. But
I'm just biased towards Warped. That song is so dope.
Which, ready for Rico's hot take?
Oh no.
My hot take is Anthony makes that song an almost mid-tier song for me.
Really? It kind of sounds like By Crooked Steps by Soundgarden for me. So
how
it does.
Warped? I don't like the verses.
Sorry, I was thinking of non-state actors. Sorry. The verses are like the best part.
No, the chorus I like because it gets kind of melodic, and like the groove, like the bass is great. But like Anthony is their make or break deal for me with some of their songs, especially recently. And I just don't love, and I think maybe it was a production choice, like with his sound effects on his vocals, that I don't like on just that song particularly, because I love a lot of the songs on the album, Aeroplane and My Friends and stuff like that. But yeah, Warped always took me a long time to like kind of get into it, and even then I wouldn't say it's like the top on that album for me.
Tony and I have been jamming it for years, so it kind of has a special place in our hearts.
By the way, we gotta have to watch the. There's like a an interview where Dave's going over like the album and whatnot, and he plays some of the riffs, and I think in that he plays Warped, and I realized that there's like something I was playing like completely wrong about it. We'll have to check that out after. Sorry, that was off topic.
Tony,
well-
did you have a hot take?
I have a hot take on a hot topic. So for mine, let's switch bands here. I think Darren should have shut up in System of a Down. I think he did good backup vocals and maybe like a little lead line here and there. But by the time they did Hypnotize and Mesmerize, he was singing way too many of the songs, and his voice is just not as likable as Surge.
Okay, so I probably know their catalog the least out of the three of us. I especially don't.
No, I think Eshaan might
I
actually.
definitely know the least.
Oh,
Yeah. Believe it or not.
I really know the two albums you just mentioned, Tony, Hypnotize and Mesmerize. I know those two kind of pretty much front and back. Like I can know all the songs on there. And I know most of Toxicity, but I don't know their first one at all besides like the Sugar, and I don't think I know anything from Steal This album.
Yeah, that's the one I know the least.
That said, their double album is the one I prefer out of actually Toxicity, which I know that's usually most fans like their favorite.
But what is the what are the worst songs from Hypnotize and Mesmerize? Oh, I don't know. She's Like Heroin. Oh,
no, I don't know. Maybe the one where Surge is singing about terracotta pie. Because that one is.
I like how weird it is.
Okay, that one's a little questionable.
Well, what was the other one you said? Lost in Hollywood?
Yeah, I don't really like Lost in Hollywood.
Or is that old school? Because there's two Hollywood songs.
Whatever the Hollywood is.
Like,
no, there's two.
The bitch right here in Hollywood. Is that?
Oh no, that's.
What is that one?
No, that's the first song off
Psycho?
Toxicity. The prison song.
Oh no, that is.
Prison
Oh
song.
yeah. That's right.
Yeah, they're going to build
Prison song is sick.
I love it.
I'll say this. I think that probably actually led to their feud, their creative differences, which has made them from not releasing, other than those two songs recently, any new music. That said, unfortunately, out of the two of them today, just from concert footage I've seen, recent ones, Darren is the better singer now out of the two. For some reason, Surge just, I think, blew out his vocals. And I will say, back in his heyday, Surge had some really great, powerful vocals, and he was the better of the two singers. But he just can't hit notes anymore. He doesn't have he can't do that aggressive scream anymore.
Yeah.
I remember Eshaan, I think you mentioned on the last podcast of Surge doing an underwhelming job on Like a Stone.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, we all know that. That's not even a hot take.
Yeah, but it was bad because that's a hard song to sing for anyone because you're trying to imitate Chris Cornell.
But again, like, it wasn't bad. It was just like you see Surge on stage, and then it's such a great song. You're thinking in your head, oh, this is gonna be so sick and everything, and no, it wasn't super sick, but it wasn't bad at all.
And with Darren, like, his voice is just kind of annoying, like on the records even. And I mean, maybe live he can hit the notes now, which is great. And yeah, sure. I'm not going to doubt that he probably does sing better than Surge at this point. But I mean, the System of a Down's long gone anyways. So as far as the time of System of a Down, I think Darren should buy a time machine and go back.
It's crazy, like these people, all these vocalists that grew up basically together in the scene: Surge, Chris Cornell, Eddie Vedder, Chester Bennington,
like the 90s icons, right?
Yeah, and Miles Kennedy. Chester and Miles, they have not lost it. I mean, obviously until recently, right?
Jesus Christ.
Well, I thought you were gonna say that they're all dead now, and I was like,
no,
Eddie Vedder and Miles Kennedy are very much still alive.
And Surge.
No, what I'm saying is that okay, for the people that we've lost recently, and for all in total people that are alive and also not with us anymore, Chester and Miles Kennedy really kept it up there, and a lot of those people fell back. So
but
I mean, a thing that impresses me a little bit.
I don't
you
know.
gotta give them credit.
Maybe this is where our next hot take can come from. I fell off the Linkin Park train, and I won't even say like back in the day. I mean, I got into them during Minutes to Midnight, obviously Transformers, um, and then I was disappointed with the following album, and I don't even really remember what it was called. I know it was had a white cover, and then I just never really got back on the train. So I really only like enjoy their first three, but and I know a lot of people hated that last album they put out just because of the change in sound. But was the change in sound because he either didn't want to or couldn't do those screaming, notes anymore? Because like I feel like even like during the like last performances I saw of Chester live, like he was even kind of taking it a little bit like a kind of more like layered approach to the way he sung song. Like they would do like an acoustic version of Crawling instead of like that new
Yeah.
metal sound.
I think they were going towards a more like contemporary sound because like they were doing a lot more like trap beats and stuff like in their later stuff. But also Chester was in Stone Temple Pilots like right before he passed away. And he was doing crazy screams that weren't even in the record.
Yeah,
Live.
some of the performances were pretty good. Like I remember they did like a great version of Coma, like where there's just like this high note and he just like belts it that Scott never could hit live. But just as a general topic though, here's the question. Here's the question: are singers allowed to get old? Like, like what should a singer do when they get old? Should they adopt a new style that they can handle? B, should they just give it up, retire? Or C, should they try their best to sing all the songs but just sound not very good live?
Well, I think it depends on the person because I think like someone who's done it very well is Billy Joel because like he like after he released his last album and he knew he wasn't going to do new music, he was just going to tour off his hits and his other albums. His voice literally like dropped really low. It's almost like he had like a second puberty and like he started performing all his songs in different tunings. Like he down tuned like every song like either half or full step.
Yeah.
And at first, I didn't like it when I listened to his more recent recordings, but then I was just like, it's still the same song. It's just like in a different, key.
Yeah.
But he can hit those notes in the key that he can sing in now. I much prefer that than someone trying to sing the song in its original key if they just cannot hit those notes anymore.
I totally agree. It really just depends on the person because like what I was saying about like Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington and Miles Kennedy, all these guys. Like Miles Kennedy is still going super strong in Alter Bridge. So
Wait, are they still a band?
I think
Yes.
so. I'm not sure.
They just
But,
released a new album. Tony, just because you haven't heard their new music doesn't mean they're disbanded.
I haven't seen anything about them
I feel
anywhere
like
though.
You don't
I don't look
follow
for
them.
it.
I feel like
follow them.
heard-
You don't.
Okay, so I feel like I heard that they were like doing some live shows recently or something, but yeah, Miles Kennedy, I haven't heard of him like doing any like bum performance or anything like that, and those are hard songs to sing, and he's getting old now, so like for people like him, he could still perform for a considerable amount of time. But I remember watching videos of Led Zeppelin playing their last performance in 2012, and they downtuned all their songs like a whole step. So like, yeah, that's another like accommodation for some people. Miles Kennedy didn't have to do that, and for Robert Plant, he's a different person. He had to do that for his songs. They're also really hard songs to sing. And then even Chris Cornell for Birth Ritual live, he like tuned it down like a total like a complete fifth or something like that. It's super high, but he couldn't sing that.
Or he could have just sang the song an octave lower.
I was wrong. He actually did that.
Oh, okay, that would make sense because that song is way up there.
Yeah, he sang it an octave lower. So it just depends on the person. Like it doesn't mean they're a bad vocalist or anything like that. They're all amazing and they're all super inspirational.
I think Steven Tyler's another great example of someone that just still slays like in their 60s.
Yeah. So
okay, that's maybe that'll be our next hot topic. Then, our hot take, because.
Okay. But yeah, that's my point. I agree with Rico that every person's different. either they can stop singing or make accommodations to their singing, or if they're able to keep going, just keep going.
Or and really quick to add to my point, I think it also depends on the song because taking a look at Pearl Jam, Eddie Vedder, unfortunately, he's just not like his solo music he's releasing nowadays is just so much different than like early Pearl Jam because he's not that age anymore and he just can't hit those high notes or those very aggressive notes and screams. And like they still nowadays, they'll every now and then they'll play a song like Blood or Habit, where they're these like really punk rock heavy songs where he's just screaming and like they do it near the end of the set, but it still like drains him of his voice. And I don't think you can change the tuning of those songs because there's so much aggression. It's not even just the note, it's the aggression. And I kind of feel like some bands should retire songs if they just can't make it work with a different tuning. Like I think Pearl Jam should start dropping those really aggressive songs. You know, like he'll forever be able to sing Even Flow because it's mostly just him mumbling. But like the songs where he's like really screaming, I kind of think those should just almost be retired at this point.
No more Love Reign Over Me covers.
Unfortunately, yeah, because I just don't think it's not going to sound great. And I feel like it doesn't sound great. Maybe when you're there in person, you're hearing it live, you don't care because it's just an experience. But when you're like watching a YouTube video or listening to a live, album, it just doesn't sound good.
I mean, I think that kind of goes maybe like another topic, like how we feel about. So take like the Beach Boys for example. Once they got to like their 40s, like you really can't be writing songs about teenage love anymore. That gets a little nasty.
I think
but
some of them still did that though.
We don't talk about that. So sometimes seeing bands perform songs maybe with like subject matters like that, or maybe like we said, like punk songs where part of it is about being young and dumb and like and everything like that. And then you see some old bloated guy on stage singing it. It just kind of takes the charm out of it. But I mean, like you said, people go to a concert because they, love the band, whether it's as people, they respect them, or it's just something that they have a connection to. Some people just dig the experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Like something that I don't know if it fits in this episode, but it's very evident when a musician, either one like gets married or even more so starts a family and has a kid or kids, because that always, I feel like you can hear it in their music and their songwriting, like their early albums and songs before a kid and a spouse, and then after. Like, I feel like a lot of people will call some older bands like dad rock, but even bands that aren't even that old, like Pearl Jam, like they're not as old as like Led Zeppelin. But like once Eddie Vedder started having kids, like I do feel like it changed kind of like the sound and the way he approached songwriting, which is
What was the first album post Child?
I want to say it was probably Backspacer was probably the first album where he had kids, I think.
I mean, Backspacer's a pretty good record though, but yeah, definitely the rock is not.
Yeah, and you start getting songs like Just Breathe, and then like Future Days on the next album, Lightning Bolt, is like specifically about his kids.
Eshaan, when did Chris Cornell have a child?
When did Chris Cornell have a child?
Yeah. Let's see if his change.
Well, his daughter, I think, is older than Eddie Vedder's oldest daughter.
So I know that Chris Cornell was like married twice, I think, and he had a kid with his first wife.
Oh.
And his first wife, or his first kid, I think is younger than you, older than me. So like December.
Oh, okay. Wow. So right in the pocket.
Yeah.
So okay. What year was Chris Cornell's?
But maybe I don't know enough of his music, but there are some writers who don't make. Did he ever write about his kids?
Well, no, but it's more so about having like maybe starting a family. Just that experience kind of maybe changes your views, how you think.
Eminem raps about his daughter all the time, dude.
Does he really?
Yeah. You know that whole MGK Eminem diss like drama that happened is because MGK was like, "Yo, Eminem's daughter's so hot" on Twitter,
Really?
and then Eminem was like, "Yo, what'd you say about my daughter?" Then he made a whole diss track. Look up Kill Shot, dude.
Kill
Kill Shot. That's the name of the
Kill
song.
Shot. Okay.
Now, did we want to get into the Aerosmith hot take?
Oh, what is this?
Now, let's just start
Oh,
this off.
the hot take is I just fucking hate Aerosmith.
Oh.
Now, you were talking to someone, two people who have played Guitar Hero Aerosmith in its entirety.
That is right. I completed it 4 times.
Jesus Christ. On the Wii.
On the Wii, yeah. With the Wii.
I'll say this. It's not that I don't think they're talented. It is just, I just really don't like any of their music. The only song that I can somewhat stand is just like the bass groove and Sweet Emotion. But I've never liked Steven Tyler's voice. Also, I mean, not to get too much into this because this is probably too much of a hot topic for this podcast, but like he's had some recent allegations, which like just doesn't.
Well, I mean,
but that aside, he's always just someone that I don't know. I just like never liked his personality. Which if I don't like an artist's personality, it is kind of harder for me to get into their music.
Yeah, Tom York's the most likable guy we know.
Well, no, it did take me a while to get into Radiohead just because I do think Radiohead takes themselves, they're out of all the bands I listen to, they're the band that takes themselves the most serious. Like they just don't have as much like tongue in cheek and funny moments like with their fans and their music. So I will say that took me a while to get into, but like Aerosmith always just seemed like kind of over the top to me. And like Steven Tyler specifically just always seemed like just too much. And I just don't like his
Really?
I don't like his vocals in Dream On. I don't like the notes he's hitting. I don't think it sounds pleasant to my ears.
I don't
which
want to
I know
miss
is
a
a
thing.
hot
How about
take.
that song?
What song?
I don't want to miss a thing.
I hate it as
And I
well.
don't
I mean,
wanna
Wow. Walk This
And
Way.
it's-
You don't like Walk This Way?
no, not really.
Well-
the thing I like most about Walk This Way is probably the Run MDC feature.
I do like that one more. I do. Because that was like the guitar solo that made me want to start learning guitar in Guitar Hero. Was the Run DMC version of Walk This Way.
Is the solo pretty similar or is it like pretty different?
It's similar, but I don't know, there was just something about like the wow that was like, yo, that's sick.
Now,
So then I had to learn real guitar for it.
that said, I get why you guys like them and why other people like them. And you guys like they're not like I mean I know for Tony they're definitely not like in his top 10, and I assume Eshaan.
But they're in my
probably
top
not.
10 classic rock bands.
I would say that as well for classic rock.
Okay, yeah. See, I definitely could pick 10 better classic rock bands than them.
I mean,
but
I'm not going to be ridiculous and say they're better than Zeppelin, but I would say that they're, I mean,
well, my
they're-
hot take
they're
is Zeppelin's
fantastic.
overrated too. But
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't listened to much Zeppelin, and everyone like it rages about Zeppelin all the time.
but the people that, like these people that rage too hard about Zeppelin are the ones that rage about Black Dog. You know, all the songs we've heard a
Yeah.
million times.
yeah, but that's the same.
But there's so many deep cuts that
I
are
have
great
the same
too.
mentality about the Beatles. Like, I want to learn like more about the Beatles. I want to listen to them, but it's just not my style, to say bluntly.
well,
So it's hard
Okay.
for me to sit through and listen to.
for the Beatles, that's funny because my friend Chris, we literally just talked to hours ago for our last 2 episodes, his favorite band is the Beatles, like his like all-time favorite band. And before I met him, I without even really listening to their songs outside their hits, I just said they're the most overrated band ever, and I just don't understand. I could never understand why people like them. Then he helped me get into them, along with a ton of other bands like Bruce Springsteen, and like the Beach Boys and stuff like that. And it was then where I had realized, like, listening to the Beatles, you have to like go in with a different mindset. Like
That is
you have
actually
to
true.
you have to place your mindset in the time period when the music was released.
Mhm.
Because like if you're like listening to like even Abbey Road, which I do think is like one of the, probably their best album, and I think it even still holds, well in today's, sense of like music and production. If you go then listen to like an album that a modern day album that people say is like one of the best of all time, like OK Computer by Radiohead or like Songs for the Deaf by Queens of the Stone Age, it's so vastly different. that it's almost like there's no comparison. Like those albums made today just sound better. But if you listen to it with like the mindset of when it was released, it is pretty remarkable. But it's hard. Took me a long time to get my mindset to that same place.
But with a little help from your friends, you've learned to like the Beatles.
Oh my god.
Uh,
But I still hate certain songs. Like I still hate Hey Jude.
Yeah, I hear like people like Rick Beato and other people that are way smarter than me at like music college, like saying that all their stuff was super innovative and super fresh sounding, and like I want to be able to listen to that and enjoy like a full song, maybe a full album, but it's just really hard for me to force myself to sit down and listen to something I'm not used to listening to.
Well, yeah, because
So
for them, you can always say, "Oh, some other band or artist did it better after them."
yeah.
Which that's how I used to kind of view their music. But like a lot of the bands I like and listen to, even like bands that don't sound like them, like Pearl Jam, like without the Beatles, there might not be. I know there was that movie that was made where it's like when the Beatles, if they never existed, which was stupid because in the trailer, Coldplay still existed in the same world where the Beatles didn't, which makes zero sense. Which is not just towards Coldplay, because actually I love Coldplay, but like Beatles were like one of their biggest influences, and without them, there would probably be no Coldplay. But like, yeah, it's just when I listen to the Beatles, I just know that there's a lot of their music I prefer over it, but I could still really get into some, and it's not all their music. Like their early albums are far and beyond what I like. Like I mostly like their later albums.
It's crazy that like the Beatles were basically like a Pandora's box for rock music.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing is that
not to be confused with Aerosmith's compilation called Pandora's Box. It's their greatest hit. It all ties back to Aerosmith. Without Aerosmith, there would never be.
You have to like Aerosmith.
No, the best thing that Aerosmith ever did was that one video clip on YouTube where Steven Tyler accidentally falls off the stage during a live performance.
Dave Grohl did that. Did you laugh at that one?
Well, I actually kind of did afterwards because because he made jokes about it. Like he made jokes and then he did that whole throne thing and he would still perform live with his leg in a cast. Like that was cool.
Yeah, Lane Staley did that too. He was like in a
Really?
Yeah, I think there's like a video of him like in a wheelchair.
Damn.
No, the best one was I think it was Travis Scott. He like fell off the stage.
Oh yeah, and it was auto-tuned while
he was singing, and it was still so as he's falling, he's like and like it auto-tunes his yell, like his It's hilarious. Definitely, Tony. I don't know if you've seen it. YouTube it later. It's hilarious.
Okay, I definitely will.
We can only laugh at that because of his, somewhat recent troubles he's had with his live concert. So that's the only reason why we can make fun of him.
I mean, we're making fun of a lot of people so far, so I think it's fair to say he's fair game.
I don't know. Okay, to bring it back, Aerosmith is a great band, and yeah.
I mean, you only really need their first like 5 records, but those 5
they're
records,
classic rock songs, but they're not so classic rock to the point to where it's like exhausting to hear for me. Like, there's innovation in chord progressions, and like it's a little bit more rich than.
So then, do you like the Stones?
I don't know enough to have an opinion.
Because like I feel like if you like one, you probably like the other.
Okay, then
I mean, just from what I've heard from both bands, like.
But the Stones are going to be not as heavy as Aerosmith. Granted, they started in 60s, Aerosmith 70s.
But I'm sure you can find some Stone songs that are heavy. And
oh, well, yeah, of course.
For sure, most of the Aerosmith songs I've heard I would not consider heavy, even for their time.
The one thing I just don't like hearing in classic rock is like that whole second half of Into the Void by Black Sabbath. Just like whole step power chord type thing, maybe a drone on the low E string. But like that's what I don't want to keep hearing over and over again, right?
There's nothing quite like a song where there's like a sick riff and then you get like a minute of like the most, vanilla rock, Harley Davidson rock, and then you get like the sick little like hook again and
like
stuff.
Holy Diver is only cool for the first minute or two out of 7.
Right. And not even the first minute because
I'm unfamiliar with a lot of Black Sabbath, so I don't know that particular song by them. But would you say like they were the one? Because I know Black Sabbath are like most people consider them the inventors of like heavy metal, right?
Yeah. What? It's not Helter Skelter.
Well, okay, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
yes.
The first like band to like do it on every song and album. Do you think they're the ones who invented those tropes that you don't like now?
That's now you're asking the hard. This
I
went
mean,
into a philosophical
well,
podcast.
music has evolved, right? So it had to start from somewhere. Like "Smoke on the Water" was a song once, and
I mean,
it still is. You know my point. Like, it came out, it was super fresh. People were like, "Yo, this is super cool. This is amazing." And then next thing you know, someone starts two-hand tapping on the guitar, and then they're like, "Oh my god, I never heard that before. That sounds so cool. That's so fresh." We're constantly in this evolution to where, like, this song that we heard from 60, 50 years ago, it's just like, okay, I get it now. You know, I want to hear something new now.
so do you get the droning E string with the whole step power chords now? I mean, Rico's got a point. Like, even though that it was maybe fresh at the time and whatnot, I think society as a whole gets to choose what parts they want to take and reuse and stuff.
Yeah.
Which sucks. But I guess if every song was Into the Void, it wouldn't be so special.
Mm-hmm. That is my
Yeah.
point.
Oh, that's a good point. And it's funny now because you mentioned like "Smoke on the Water" and then like, finger tapping. Like those are now like memes. Like it's not
035.
cool anymore, Like everyone can play "Smoke on the Water," and like even people like in the metal community, like tapping or like even like the first time I saw someone sweep pick, I was like, what is that? Like how's that possible? But like today now, people are like, that's not cool anymore. I feel like
Yeah,
now that people figured out how to do it, it's not cool.
exactly. Yeah. And now it's like, what's the word? It's like what's that graph where it's not linear, but it's like a curve?
Bezier.
No, Rico, you know what I'm talking about? It's
I
not linear, but it's like a curve that's slowly getting closer to the
Exponential.
side. Exponential. Yes.
yeah. I was gonna say I know exactly what you're talking about, but I couldn't think of the term.
Yeah. So innovation and evolution and whatever you want to call it, it's not a linear growth. It's an exponential growth. It started off with probably like a big change in a bunch of stuff. Someone like Les Paul came around and made a guitar with pickups in it. And then all these other people from like jazz and rock started getting their hands on it, making music, putting it out, doing all that stuff. Then there comes the finger tapping. Then there comes the masters of metal sweep picking or whatever. And now, like, okay, what's the next thing? We can't really think about that just off the top of our heads. So it's an exponential growth. This growth is getting slower and slower, but it's never going to end.
Wait, I would say the growth is getting faster and faster, right?
Really? How so?
Well, I mean, think about it. Like, think about like, let's say the '60s to like, or like you could probably go back further, but like I don't know. I feel like
Are you saying?
okay.
Are you saying like the trends die? Like the trends are shorter, maybe?
Well, I mean that's true, but I feel like people are getting like everyone is good at instruments now. Like people are getting better faster. Like there's more access and resources that people are learning how to make the most out of their instruments and whatnot. Like I mean, because like tapping, like sure it blew up and stuff, but like it's probably within the last like 20 years that people have really just been like, oh, okay, everyone can tap, let's move on. Everyone can sweep pick, let's move on. And heck, even now, like I feel like one of the biggest things I could think about probably are like kind of like polyrhythm meter stuff, like interesting rhythm things like that showed
stuff,
right
like
things that have been explored a long time ago but are now being mastered all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, is that even though that through time we have learned techniques in advance, right now it's like these last 10 years everyone is mastering all these things. So to me, I feel like it's getting faster. Sorry that took a while to get out, but
yeah,
well,
that does make sense.
To bring this back into like more of a hot take, my hot take, especially with like guitar players, and I'm saying this as someone who I barely consider myself a guitar player. I'm definitely a chords guy, strum, sing along. Rhythm
players.
Yeah, I almost never play guitar without singing. So this hot take is going to be very like I have nothing to back it up with, but I'm to the point where I'm tired of seeing people just post guitar covers like on YouTube or TikTok. Like unless you're changing the song and making it your own.
Guilty as
I-
charged.
No, I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying like but I'm
But
like
people
that.
like Eshaan, I'm calling out.
But I'm also talking about people who sing songs and covers like I do. Like it's okay to post like one or two, but then like if I think someone's talented, because like most of these videos I see, like people are like killing it, but I'm like, you're playing it just like the way it is on the album. I'm like, and after a couple, I'm like, okay, I want to see like original music from this person, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like some people nowadays, and maybe it's because they just don't think their own music will not ever be more popular than the covers they post, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But that's the only way that your music is going to be discovered is if you put your music out there.
Yeah.
So my hot take is I wish more people who are talented enough to post these amazing covers either did something more with them or would post more original music.
In my case, I learned a bunch of songs, and that is mostly due to me just trying to get better at my instrument. So, yeah, I focus a lot more of my time building my technique rather than posting original material because I'm always trying to get better at my instrument. So that is just my point of view on it.
Well, and that is very important because the thing I'm guilty of is I don't ever try to get better at any of the instruments I play, which is mainly due to the fact I consider playing music for me as barely it's up to me. It's just basically a hobby where, like listening to music is like my main passion and like talking about it like we are right now. I enjoy that way more than playing music, where I know you and Tony both get so much from playing music and writing music. And I feel like I get pleasure from writing music a lot, but because I'm so limited on the instruments that I know, it frustrates me sometimes and it makes me not want to play music more, which is totally only I have myself to blame for that.
I think something too that can kind of be said for that, about like the hot take of people posting covers with maybe without like a spin or whatnot, is I think some people could probably use, like, let's say they post it on Instagram, they can kind of see their progression of playing in a very neat format and or get feedback from other people. Granted, I'm assuming you're not talking about people that are doing that, but I think if you look at it in a more of a broad sense, but yeah, it's like I really don't need to see anyone else play Enter Sandman. That's a bit exhausted, I would say. But yeah, I do see where you're coming from, and so it's like when I see like people put music videos on Instagram or insert whatever thing, usually it's people playing like a short clip of like some like like tapping piece they're working on or a finger picking thing, like, and I think that is pretty acceptable.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's totally fine. I guess my question now is, should I be buying those Beato books?
Dude, okay.
With the bundle, yeah.
Hot take, I hate that guy. There's something about him that irks me.
I also don't like the term Beato bundle. It sounds kind of gross.
Yeah. 15% off your Beato bundle. It could be yours.
You hate Rick Beato?
He really bothers me. He's very talented. But
he's interviewed some of your like favorite musicians. Like he interviewed the bass player from Stone Temple Pilots. He interviewed Sting and probably the other two guys from the Police. Like
he interviewed Kim Thayil, Chris Novoselic, and Matt Cameron.
But you know what he also did? He also like made videos and he'll say like, "Oh yeah, this modern song isn't very good. The chord progression is very boring." Or whatever, and then it'll be like, "Oh my gosh, this Journey song's fantastic," and it's "Don't Stop Believing" with the most basic chord progression.
I
ever.
know
he's that type of boomer.
Yeah,
he has the talent and credentials, but
I do notice that he leans like really far towards something being older equals being better.
Right, something of his time.
I've noticed that a lot.
But
however,
okay,
yeah,
maybe turning this into a hot take, does he have a point? Because if like I'm not saying Journey was the first one to ever come up with that chord progression, but like if maybe they're the first ones that had a very popular hit song with that chord progression, and then you hear a rap artist or another rock band nowadays do the same chord progression, it is going to be less interesting, right?
But I
So
feel like there's I mean, and hey, Ishan's the one going to music school right now, so maybe he can maybe offer a different perspective here. But to me, I feel like Rick Beato has, you see is what makes a song great or whatever, and a lot of the songs that he praises, maybe they're just power chords. Maybe it's a Nirvana song he praises, which is literally just basic chord, like Heart Shaped Box, right? Like that is a very basic song. I mean, I like the song personally, and I don't have a problem with it. But there are definitely newer songs that are definitely more complex, whether it's the melody or whatnot or production, that he just kind of dismisses. Um, I don't know, Ishan. I mean, like,
yeah, so I was working out yesterday, and I just put on one of his live streams, and it was basically talking about how the what is it? It's like how musical creativity is dying. I do agree to some extent. Like record labels are algorithmically crafting songs with the expectation that it's going to blow up on TikTok, only these 30 seconds, and that is it. The rest of the song can hit the can.
right.
Right? So I do agree in that case. However, there was a case where in that video, he pulled up the song "Leave the Door Open" by Silk Sonic, aka Bruno Mars.
Wait, hold
That
on.
is a
Anderson .Paak is just as talented as Bruno Mars.
yeah, sorry, yeah, my bad. I do like both of them. I have nothing against either of them. However, Rick Beato pulled up that song, and I personally think that's a great song. Really good chord progression and really good melody and song structure and all that stuff. But then he was comparing it to Earth, Wind, and Fire and saying how the Earth, Wind, and Fire song was way better than Leave the Door Open. But in my perspective, I think that both songs are really great, but because one is older than the other, automatically he doesn't like Leave the Door Open anymore. And I just don't think that's a really valid reason.
And he never like, and it'd be one thing if he said like you mentioned earlier, Rico. It's like, well, maybe one of them did it first, but he never makes that the reason why he says that. He's never like, yeah, in this song, but this Earth, Wind, Fire song did it first, so you got to give him some credit. He never says that. He just says, oh yeah, that one is better. And for someone who prides himself on his music theory, his musicianship, his production credential, experience, for him to just be like, nah, that one's better, and not really have like a concrete reason why, it's just, I don't know, I feel like it's really misleading, and I don't think it's really, he has a lot of influence on YouTube, and I just don't think it's very fair for him to just throw around his opinions kind of randomly.
Here's my reason for not really understanding why people hate him, is because the dude's just a music teacher. He's just teaching music, and I don't think he's out to hurt anyone's feelings. He's just trying to provide education for anyone else that is looking for education, looking for tips, advice on putting out their music or how to listen to music even.
Yeah, and to add to that comment, to Ishan's comment,
Yeah.
I think if you're someone who only listens to Rick Beato and gets all your like music knowledge from him and your opinions based off his, that's on that person. That's not on Rick Beato. Like, I think all three of us, like, yeah, we might listen to him every now and again, but we also listen to other YouTubers and other, critics and other music teachers, besides him. So,
But why settle for anything other than the best?
but that's the thing. There is no best. I mean, I know you're joking, but like, like everyone, like has valid opinions, and like, I'm always interested to like hear an opinion at least once, and then if I like disprove of it or it doesn't fit mine, then like I just like carry on. I don't really let it try to upset my day too much. I just like
But
go
the
to the
way
next
I
one.
feel, the way Tony feels about Rick Beato, kinda is how I feel about Samurai Guitarist.
I feel like Samurai Guitarist, his videos did take a turn later on where he just,
I just feel like in the
Yeah.
cadence in which he speaks is very egotistical. I have no way to back this up at all. It's just
I don't-
it's
Him
just
and
a
Adam
feeling.
Neely both got really that they started really sounding egotistical. I mean,
It's funny though because I kind of know what you guys are talking about because I remember one video specifically. It was like a questions and answers. Or no, it was like a no, it wasn't even that. It was kind of like what we're doing right now. I think it was like hot takes or something.
was it Samurai Guitarist?
It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Fufos.
Maybe
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Honest,
and he was reading a
unfiltered
comment.
Opinions?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and someone's opinion that they commented was like Rush is the best Canadian rock band of all time. And Samurai Guitarist was like, that's not how you spell the Tragically Hip. Now, being a Tragically Hip fan, I 100% agreed with him. That said, and he was also kind of joking the way he said it. But that said, if you, the way he said it was a little bit like, yeah, like
I know and you don't.
Yeah, but I also think
Right.
I also think
gatekeeper.
it's a little tongue in cheek, at least with him. I don't know about Adam Neely as much, but I don't know. I feel like Samurai Guitarist is like, I feel like his ego has to be a little smaller than like a Beato. Maybe even it's just like an age thing. Because
Beato's ego is definitely up there as well.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Like I listen. I don't. The thing is, I don't subscribe to any three of them, but I will. Like if I'm like don't know what to listen to one night or one day, I will just search them on YouTube and like watch their most recent videos. You know, and specific videos. Like I never watch Beato's like what makes the song great because like
See, those are his best videos, though.
no, but
feel
I
like
don't need him to tell me why I like
An
you
e-power
know
chord.
losing my religion. Yeah, losing my religion by
But-
REM. Like I already know why I like that song. Like, but I am curious on his like when he does like his top or like he listens to the top 10 Spotify songs at that moment, like that day.
Mhm.
That I find more interesting because he's usually listening to like modern pop music, and it is interesting to hear because sometimes he has bad takes, but sometimes he actually will like a modern song for certain reasons. Like he'll notice an odd time signature or a key change in the song, and I do find that impressive.
So I am subscribed to Adam Neely, to Samurai Guitarist, to Rick Beato.
a patron.
But like no, not on Patreon. But yeah, like regardless of their egos or their flaws, like I feel like there's always something to learn from these people, especially in the combination of them. So yeah,
There's just a lot of weeds you got to pick out.
yes, exactly, and there's always going to be that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Eshaan summed that up pretty good. I think it's a pretty fair statement. And obviously they're all very talented people.
Now, I want to ask because who was it the other day? It might have been maybe I was having a discussion with Lindsay or my mom. I can't remember who, but
The Who?
no, not the who, but this is not really pertaining to the music we listen to, and it doesn't have to be a big discussion. Is Taylor Swift overrated?
Okay,
Don't worry, the Swifties don't know about us. There's no way they can hurt us.
Okay, well, it's okay. I can say a couple things, but it's not going to be an answer. So
Okay, so you say a couple things and then
He's
I'll put
copying
it
that.
in the form of an answer.
yeah, it's just most of her songs are like, yeah, they're poppy, they're country. Yeah, we've heard it before, but we got to give her like some, like, what's the word, praise, I suppose,
Some credit.
some
maybe?
credit, yeah, because she writes her songs for the most part.
Well, my opinion is that if you look at any of her songs, I at least I think her recent albums, there's usually at least one other writer that goes by the name Jack Antonoff.
With the exception of a producer.
No, there'll be multiple producers, but also songwriters too.
Okay.
Well,
then my point just took the piss.
I think I think she starts a lot of her songs probably by herself, and it's not as bad as like Beyonce, where like Single Ladies took like 8 different songwriters,
Mhm.
where like, you know, Bohemian Rhapsody only took like one songwriter. But
Mhm.
I do think she gets a lot of help from whoever's producing her. Like I do think, and like lately she's been doing, I feel like a lot of collaborations with other bands like The National. who also like write their own music. That said, it's not to discredit her, but that said, I feel like especially some artists like Lana Del Rey, who I just don't understand the appeal whatsoever. Like I just like all her songs are like written by like Jack Antonoff, who I dislike as a producer, as a musician.
It's
but that's
strange
that's a
because
personal
like
thing.
I keep hearing people praising Taylor Swift for writing all of her songs. What's that all about?
I mean, like she's definitely not someone that like a pop artist today that gets a song handed to them that's already completely written. Like
Yeah.
I think legit sits down with like a guitar and will like come up with like her own lyrics and like melodies.
Yeah.
That said, I do think, and I could be maybe I'm the one that's wrong, but I do think like she has songwriting credits to usually the producer that's helping her produce the album.
Yeah.
That will also get production credits, of course. So
Like there's the song Trouble with like a bunch of dubstep like bass drops and shit. I guarantee she did not write those.
Yeah.
Which is probably the most notable thing about the song. Yeah. I'm imagining.
But that said, like, I don't know. Tony, what do you think?
I mean, she's all right. Like, I don't know. I don't really have much of a stance just because I don't know a lot of her stuff.
You're afraid of the Swifties.
I mean, yeah, I'm just afraid they're gonna tear me apart. Like some of the older ones, like what the heck is it called? Like the She Wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts. Yes, that one. On the bleachers. Yeah, like I think that's a good
old one though.
Right, that's like an old one. Like I think that's a good song. Like I don't have a problem with it, but I do think that it's just like any fan base that gets a hardcore following. Because like for example, like I mean
her fan base made her overrated.
Her fan base is definitely hyping her up way too much. They're saying like, okay, this is actually a recent thing that's popping everywhere.
She's the next Van Halen.
That was a
while ago. Yeah, Samurai Guitars covered that one.
I was actually gonna say that one, but another one that's more recent is that they're comparing her to Michael Jackson. Bro,
what?
Nah.
Wait,
dude. Okay, Michael Jackson walked into a Lakers game, and only because he was there, they had to shut the game down. Because everyone was freaking out that Michael Jackson walked in the building.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
But did Michael Jackson crash Ticketmaster's website?
Did Taylor Swift do that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, damn. I mean, but Michael Jackson probably did. Come on.
You know, but to be fair, though, Michael Jackson, isn't Thriller like the best-selling record or something like that?
Every single year, man. Like, Halloween comes around, what's the one song that's being played?
Thriller.
Rock Me.
I was gonna say Werewolves of London. But...
yeah, wait, there.
Monster. You say Rock Lobster? Is that what you said?
No, I said what is it? Rock with Me?
No, what did Eshaan say?
Boris the Spider by The Who.
Oh.
Apparently that was the first death growl on a song.
Eshaan, can you please replicate that right now?
No.
Please. No. Okay, we'll put it in the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say like Taylor Swift is very popular with the youth, and unfortunately Michael Jackson was also very popular with the youth.
Oh god.
Okay, that'll be my last joke for this episode.
But yeah, so I do not think Taylor Swift is nearly as popular as Michael Jackson
or as innovative or just as talented. And I'm only saying those things because Michael Jackson is all of those things.
Michael Jackson's a powerhouse. But like, yeah, Taylor Swift being compared to Eddie Van Halen, Michael Jackson, it's just like, where's this coming from?
They're buzzwords, you know?
To make this back into like a hot take, because we agree that she's not like Michael Jackson.
No.
And okay, so, and then maybe turning the page a little bit and making it more, I guess, not fair, but like, okay, what about The Weeknd? Because The Weeknd is oftentimes compared to Michael Jackson.
Oh, because he sounds like Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
well, it's different.
It's different too because comparing a female to a male, that's already going to cause problems for some people who can't handle that. And like The Weeknd and Michael Jackson both make similar styles of music.
Yeah.
whether it's like pop or like R&B or like a mixture, where Taylor Swift is like a different brand of pop. So that's also harder to compare. But like people compare The Weeknd a lot to Michael Jackson.
Mhm.
And
I
Because
feel
they
like
sound similar.
that's in a totally different perspective, though. Like, not in terms of popularity or any sort of like shock value. Like, oh my god, this guy walked into the room, right? But it's only in terms of style and how their voices sound.
Preach it.
In fact, I would contradict that and say Bruno Mars is way closer than The Weeknd to Michael Jackson.
Excuse me?
Yes.
But okay, take a Weeknd song and then just put a bunch of like hee-haws in it or whatever those like sounds Michael Jackson makes, and it's basically MJ. Bruno Mars, I mean,
Bruno Mars is excellent. I feel like
he's very talented as well.
He can sing just like Michael Jackson in some.
but he doesn't grab his crotch enough.
Uh, yeah, do you see Taylor Swift doing that?
So none of us can quite be MJ, is what we're taking from this.
Let's do some like really quick like rapid fire hot takes here. Let's see
Yeah, let's
where you
just go in a
guys-
circle to maybe close out this episode. Let's just go in a circle here.
Because I looked up some online, because I have a lot of really niche ones, like when it comes to like specific artists or things like that. But like if we're like looking at it like in a more broad sense, like someone said online that like greatest hits album shouldn't be a thing.
But that's Queen's best album, though.
Like
That's my
I don't
hot
know.
take,
Do you
is
guys
that-
like greatest hits? Because like I don't. I only buy them on vinyl to like have my collection completed. And I will say, most record labels, when you get signed a band, they have to do one after a certain amount of albums, and they usually have to include like either a new song or like an unreleased song that's not on any other album. And those are good. Like without that, we wouldn't have Mary Jane's Last Dance by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
That was on a what?
Yeah, that was only recorded for that greatest hits sessions with Rick Rubin.
I didn't know
wild.
that.
But the other side of it is like I almost never want to listen to a greatest hits album, because usually when it comes to a band or artist, I'm sick of their greatest hits. I want the deep cuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but Tony does have a point. Like most of us, when we listen to Queen, it is usually the greatest hits album.
But I mean, like, I think it really depends on the band. I think most bands don't necessarily shine all the time when they're kind of given pressure to make a hit or whatnot. I feel like those can come off stale or be forced or whatnot. But like I think there are definitely exceptions, such as Queen. But take a band like AC/DC. Like, sure, we know all the greatest hits, but if you were to play any of those songs for me, I couldn't tell you what album it's from. Like, they all sound like, if AC/DC made a greatest hits, it would sound like any one of their albums. Like, it wouldn't make any difference.
I listen to every single Living Color song, and I will only listen to their hits.
Yeah, Living Color is another good exception. And to be fair too, like Cult of Personality is miles above their second best song,
And
which is still really good.
Love Rears
but-
Its Ugly Head's a great song.
Right. Some bands only make a few good songs. Maybe that's it.
The only other song of theirs that I know is their cover of the Talking Head song "Mine," which they do a pretty good job.
I have not
There's
heard
Type. I love
either of
that
those, so I'll
Type.
have to check it out. Yeah, Type is sick.
Yeah,
Um,
that'll riff.
someone online said basically, if we are going to praise bands like Kiss and to an extent Guar, why can't we praise Insane Clown Posse?
Well, Kiss wrote really great songs. I'll say that.
I disagree. I think Kiss is a very, like Aerosmith, in my opinion, a very like average rock. Like their songs are just like,
Average rock
basic.
band. Really?
But,
Are you sure about that?
yeah,
They're like
that's
the
my hot
first
take.
black metal band, basically.
Dude, get this. Mike McCready quotes that like one of the famous guitar licks from Alive is from a Kiss song.
Oh yeah, he
I don't want
loves-
to take Mike McCready's word for anything though.
But
but yeah,
and then he quoted it back to Robbie Krieger from The Doors. So
no, like
That's my hot take. I don't like Mike McCready.
Oh yeah, that's I don't know if that's actually a hot take though, because I feel like a lot of people, like, it's funny, like more people will say he's overrated than like John Frusciante or like John Mayer.
But like he's
but
kind of
but
like
who is overrating Mike McCready?
he's in the same list as Kirk Hammett for me. Mike McCready and Kirk Hammett. They're in the same list. They're married.
But okay, what I'm saying is that it's more. I think it's more a hot take that you think you don't maybe love Kirk Hammett as
No,
opposed
Kirk
to Mike
Hammett
McCready.
is hated.
Really.
Well, okay, like from actual okay. There's two. If you like Metallica, then you like Kurt. If you don't like Metallica, then you don't like Kirk, which I know sounds silly.
I do like Metallica. I just don't like Kirk.
Okay, people that listen to Metallica actually.
That's another hot take. Megadeth is better than Metallica.
Metallica's better.
Wheeze. I want to hear you wheeze and squeeze because that is a hot take. And
Oh, that's the other hot take. Pinkerton is better than the Blue Album.
Get the flip out of here.
No, I don't. I've never heard Pinkerton. That was
you
a
can't
hot
beat
take
the
from
Blue
other
Album. The
people.
Blue Album has the charm.
Since we're doing rapid fire, another hot take is celebrity mashups of high quality celebrity mashups of classic songs are always trash.
Wait, give an example.
Yeah, give me an example.
From Can to Can't or whatever it's called. Corey Taylor, Dave Grohl.
Oh, you're saying when like big artists get together and do
yeah,
songs together?
Because you like celebrities,
Ed
and I thought
Sheeran
you
and The
meant
Weeknd.
like Bruce Willis singing.
Oh,
a
sorry,
song
no. Sorry. Well, they are celebrities though. Like
Johnny
Well,
Depp.
yeah, you just mean like famous musicians.
yeah, okay. There's also that whole lot of love cover with Santana and Chris Cornell.
Okay, so are we talking? Okay, because that is slightly different than the other example you gave, only because From Can't to Can't.
That's an original, isn't it?
Original.
Sorry.
So, because are we talking about supergroups too?
Super groups,
Like Cream or Traveling Wilburys or Chicken
Wait, did you
Foot.
say
Like
that makes it
Brewery.
slightly harder, but you know what? Yeah, I'll add super groups to my hot take as well.
Oh yeah, that is a hot take then, because
You like Audioslave.
I do, however, but like if I had to add them into my hot take, then I would say like Chicken Foot, kind of.
I mean, the first Velvet Revolver album is great. The
unironically.
second one's not. So
Another super.
No, that's I will agree with you sometimes. Like, I don't love most of the Slash and Miles Kennedy albums and songs.
That I agree with.
That said, I still love Miles Kennedy's like voice. But I do like and I'm not a Slipknot fan, but I did really I like that whole album that they did for that Sound City soundtrack. And I like that song with like Dave Grohl and Corey Taylor. And
I don't like that song that much.
I like the song that Trent Reznor did with Josh Homme and Dave Grohl. And I liked a lot of those songs, but maybe just because like most of those songs were like originals and they felt like fresh. But
would you count Dave Grohl being in Queens for that little bit as kind of like
no,
a super group?
I feel like this really depends on the circumstance. Because like Santana, he's the
It's-
king of working with random people, and he makes it work.
This is kind of a very open-ended hot take because like a lot of supergroups suck, but a lot of them are like so good that you don't even know that they're a supergroup. Like
Well,
Cream.
That's true. Yeah.
yeah, to be fair, I was talking more about the song on that album with Trent Reznor and Josh Homme and Dave Grohl, not like Dave Grohl in Queens of the Stone Age. For
Oh no,
that one
I was
album,
just
but-
like
was
building
yeah,
off of
yeah,
what you
yeah.
were saying.
No, yeah, like, yeah. Well, Queens of the Stone Age, I think they're special because, like, for a while, every album had a different lineup.
Yeah.
They weren't like a band with every. Now, like their last 3 albums, they've actually had the same lineup, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, like,
Which explains the decline.
Tony and I are going to get into that in episode next month. Actually,
So
the new
okay, let
Queens
me
album.
tell you this. So okay, there's that Santana song with Chris Cornell, which is Whole Lot of Love. There's
That one is trash.
Dream On with Yngwie Malmsteen and Dio.
Double trash.
What's another one? I can't even think.
What
I know,
about?
Yngwie Malmsteen also did Carry On My Wayward Son with like
Jesus
harmonic
Christ.
minor soloing, shredding, like completely.
Okay, but hear me
Doing
out
that.
though.
What
did
about
he-
Fergie and Slash doing
Oh,
Paradise City
God.
or Sweet Child of Mine? I can't remember which one it was.
I think it was Sweet Child of Mine. Yeah.
The national anthem and Steven
No.
Tyler.
Oh, I thought you ment Fergie because that's the one that I.
Oh,
know.
yeah,
that one's
that-
pretty
that-
ass too.
Or what about like
I mean, you guys were just talking about Aerosmith and Run DMC working together. I mean, I feel like that's the same type of setup.
Yeah.
But you
Oh, I
guys
was
actually
gonna-
prefer that to the original.
Okay, my hot take is very selective.
I'll say this. I think.
What about
I think
Chad
Eshaan's-
Kroger and Santana? That was what I was thinking of.
Chad Kroger in general.
Well, whoa.
I don't
Let's
know.
not
We
do
talked
all or
about
nothing
him.
statements here.
We were praising Hero in the Spider-Man soundtrack in our last episode.
Well, I didn't say anything about it personally. But...
Yeah, you did. You loved it.
Well, okay.
We
I'll-
didn't like the
I'll
lead
say
singer from Saliva, Josie Scott, but
Hear me out. I think what Eshaan's trying to say is that his hot take is that if you're in a super group or doing a guest feature, you have the 50-50 chance of it being a total flop or being pretty solid.
That hot take sounds a lot better.
It does increase your chances of a flop.
or I'll reword it to if it's not.
75%.
I'll reword his hot take and say that he meant if it's not Puddle of Mud covering Nirvana, he doesn't want it.
Talk about putting your own spin. Or sorry, I meant to say your
I
own
actually
spit
do
on
like
it.
Puddle of Mud. Like some of their like hits, I do like those. Like
Yeah, we all love Blurry.
Yeah.
What
What's
about
the other one?
I couldn't
No,
even
that
tell
is
you.
the only good one because I do not like She Hates Me.
Oh yeah, She Hates Me is all right. Yeah.
No, but like, okay, another quick like hot take or more like question: is Creed actually good? If you say Alter Bridge is good, does that mean you're also saying Creed is technically good?
Everyone like makes fun of Creed, and I haven't like gone on that bad bandwagon and like educated myself enough to like really have an opinion. So like I don't even know what the right answer is in this case.
Yeah, I haven't heard I've only heard like one Creed song, but I'll say this though: if your guitarist is Mark Tremonti, then you probably have a good chance of being at least a passable band.
Mark Tremonti's solo project is so good.
Is it better than the
I tried to
80s?
get into it. It was just a little too heavy for me, for my taste.
I mean, I am a heavy guy. So.
Yeah, that was the only reason though. It wasn't because I didn't like the vocals. Because I like actually most of his like vocals he's done on Alter Bridge albums, and of course he's a very talented. But like, yeah, it was just too. And I will say with Alter Bridge, there's only like specific albums of theirs I like, and I'm not like I love everything they do.
Even Jerry Cantrell's solo project is really good.
I still haven't listened to a full album, but anytime I hear a song of his, I'm like, yeah, this dude's got it.
Mm-hmm.
So then why aren't you listening to the rest of his music?
Well,
You're not.
Does Eshaan have to come
my
on
hot
here and
take
do
is
an
I'm not going
album
to
for
answer.
album? Is the answer Eshaan has to come on and give us a Jerry Cantrell album?
Yes, there you go.
album
That is
series?
that is the correct answer.
Okay. Yeah. Are we at that point of the podcast now where we give each other albums?
Yes, I give you Fergie's debut album.
You're capping me right now.
Let's
Oh,
see. Do I
those
have
are-
any other closing hot takes? I'm trying to think if I haven't brought one up for a little bit. Something about Phil Collins just kind of bugs me.
No,
Like,
Phil
he-
Collins. Here's my hot take. His best music he ever released was the Tarzan soundtrack.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's solid.
He had no right to go that hard on that album.
But isn't like Phil Collin and Phil Collins like two different people?
Wait, what?
What?
What? Eshaan?
No, you know
That's-
the guy in Genesis is the same Phil Collins.
Oh shit.
Wait,
Oh my god.
are you serious?
There's a hot take.
Are you kidding? Are you for real?
I thought there were two different people.
Are you confusing him with Peter Gabriel? Is that it?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Then yeah, you definitely thought there were two different Phil Collins, which is incorrect.
I thought Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus were the same for a long
Oh
time.
my god.
Or no, different people for a long time.
You fell for the illusion. I will say, do you know that song "I Can't Dance" from
Oh
Phil
yeah,
Collins?
I love that song.
Dude, I hate that song so much. It's like if AC/DC like worked at Chuck E. Cheese. Like it's awful.
Oh my god. I don't know that song, but now I have to look it up. I feel
And
like.
look up the video. It is the most painful thing you'll ever see. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm a little bit heated up now because of Phil.
Well, those were some good hot takes. We could pretty much go all night with our hot takes. I feel like the longer we go on, the less coherent they're going to be, though. But we had some good discussions there. We even got philosophical for a minute. But yeah, no, those were good hot takes.
Made fun of a few Swifties.
if anyone's made it to the end of this episode, first of all, congratulations. But also, let us know your hot takes, whether you agree or disagree with any of ours, or if you have any of your own. There's definitely an episode we'll do again in the future. I mean, you could pretty much do 100 episodes of hot takes, and there'd still be new ones to talk about. But yeah, thank you, Eshaan, for coming back.
For
to the
flying out from
episode.
LA to film this with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you are now in the Hall of Fame of, I guess, technically being the third guest to be featured on multiple episodes.
Oh, I'm flattered.
So yeah, we'll definitely have to do another episode in the future. I mean, hell, if you have time in the future, get Zoom. We'll record it the way Tony and I do normal episodes.
I'm a student, so having Zoom is kind of a necessity.
Oh, there you go. You probably, you know how to use it more than Tony and I do.
Possibly.
I just click join meeting.
Well, yeah, Tony
that's
doesn't
what
have to
I
do
do.
any. He
That's
doesn't
what
have
I
to
do.
have the file saved. I do all that. Yeah, he literally just gets the invite from me, and then he's good to go.
So, do we trade off albums at this point? Or
yeah,
how
give
does
us.
this work?
Well, I mean, Tony and I usually just do that once a month.
Okay, well, let's do it right now.
How about this, Eshaan? How about you give us an album, and then later we could probably film one.
Okay. This is Jerry Cantrell's solo project. Check out Degradation Trip. Good album.
I'm not gonna remember that title.
Degradation Trip.
Use it in a sentence.
I don't even know what that. Yeah, what that word means.
What did you just call me?
Degradation. Degrading.
Oh, okay.
Really?
I just never heard it used in that form before.
Degradation.
Trip?
Degradation. I don't know how to put it in a sentence, but like, it's not that weird.
Now, do you know? Was it like his first post, like Allison Change, or was like a newer one?
This is 2002.
Oh
Okay,
wow.
So
Okay.
a little further back.
Yeah,
Okay.
Is that the one where he's like standing in water?
No, it's this green
Ew.
with an arm in it.
Bro, is that dude all right? Did he break something?
You know, for Pantera's vulgar display of power, it's like a dude getting punched in the face. They actually did that.
Yeah, they like pay him like per punch.
I think that's so wild.
That dude, could you imagine that? Yeah, my first job is just to get punched in the face.
Okay, so Tony and I will listen to the album, and by the next time you're on the next episode, we will have our thoughts on the album.
Excellent.
And then Tony, I mean, I do think Eshaan should go ahead. An album that Tony and I both love that we talked about a couple episodes back, and I'm pretty sure Eshaan, you've not heard maybe any music from this artist, is Harry Nilsson's album Nilsson Schmilsson.
That is actually a pretty great pick.
Yeah, you're totally right. I don't know who this person is.
But I guarantee you know some of the songs he wrote. Do you know the song "One Is the Loneliest Number"?
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Nope.
This is embarrassing. Yeah.
Okay, what about the lime and the coconut?
You put the lime in the coconut.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. Yeah, like he wrote that song and then it was like covered by other people down the road that made it more popular, like the Baja Man. But yeah, he's someone that is very underlooked a lot of the time when it comes to like singer songwriters, especially like, you know, around the time of like the Beatles. And Tony and I think he has albums that are better than Beatles albums, and that's one of the albums. So and it has some songs on it that I think you'll enjoy, even though they're not quite like your style of music. I think you'll like them. So
Okay.
give that album a listen, and then hey, listen to our episode of it to hear our thoughts.
Okay.
But listen to the album first. Don't spoil it.
Yeah, don't listen to the episode first, because
Talk
then
about
we'll probably
some
turn you off.
self-promotion. Quick little full
this
circle.
podcast is self-supported by Harry Nielsen.
Wait, is this a Beato live stream? And there we have come full circle. So thank you for listening to this podcast. And Tony and I are going to be back next week. I think next week we're doing our album for album, but Tony and I don't have our picks yet. So it'll be a surprise come next week. But yeah, we'll be back for our album for album episodes next 2 weeks, and then at the end of the month, we will be doing a couple episodes on Tony's first solo album, Good Cause, to celebrate its 1 year anniversary. So stay tuned for that. And we will be back next week. Until then, we hope everyone takes care, and you will be hearing from us soon. Bye-bye.